Hello everybody. Welcome back to another video on the channel. So now this famous aircraft is called the Douglas A-1 Skyraider. It's one of the most famous aircraft after World War II. So the very fun fact story about this aircraft is the fact that that during World War II we needed a long-range torpedo bomber / dive bomber combined. So Douglas had made a plane like this, and it made its first flight in March 18, 1945. They began in Naval Air Test Center at Pax River, Maryland. So the Navy was eventually evaluating the aircraft, but it entered service in 1946. But at that time, World War II was officially already ended, so it was already too late to take part of World War II. Its first combat was during ground attack close air support missions during the Korean War. And then it was very famous during the Vietnam War. Despite that it was outdated, it was still in many naval air wings, though it was getting replaced by the newer attack aircraft, the first one designed for all weather conditions, the A-6 Intruder. And this particular Skyraider is my personal favorite. This is called the A-1E Skyraider. So, I've seen Skyraiders before in person. Like, I saw the one at the Intrepid Sea Air and Space Museum, and that's one of the prototype Skyraiders. It used to be called the BT-2D-1 Dauntless 2. That was going to be its original last name, named after the SPD Dauntless, but then it was changed to Skyraider. Then but this particular one is the A-1E Skyraider. And I will let you know, this is my third Skyraider I have ever got in my model. I had an A-1H, but then unfortunately that didn't go well. Then I had the AD-4W, which was basically a airborne early warning control version of the Skyraider. But unfortunately the propeller somehow broke, so I had to throw it out. Sorry. So I replaced it with this Skyraider. And the reason why I got this particular Skyraider, sorry about that, I had to do something, just had to fix something. But yeah, so this particular Skyraider, the reason why it's my personal favorite, because this is the most, I love this story. But before I get into that story, did you know the fun fact that there were actually two of these Skyraiders that had shot down? Do you remember in my previous video on my MiG-17 that it's true that this was on June 20th, 1965, and the other on October of 1966, that one of these Skyraiders had shot down two North Vietnamese MiG-17 jet fighters, which I find it fascinating, because why a piston engine aircraft like that could shoot down a jet aircraft? But they said they found out the reason why. The North Vietnamese, of course, were really embarrassed, but they said this is the reason why, because the straight wing Skyraider, it could turn really tight in slow speeds, but the MiG-17 with its swept wings cannot do it. So that's how it basically shot down it. And the pilots, there were two from the USS Midway that shot down its own MiG-17. It was on June 20th, 1965. One was named Clinton B. Johnson and Charles Hartman. And on the other hand was Tom Patton. He came from the USS Intrepid, and he actually shot down his own MiG-17 on October 1966. And now, here we go. This is my favorite story that I love to talk about this particular Skyraider. This was on March 10th, 1966. And this was technically about the first airman who had received the Medal of Honor for his heroic action on that day. Oh, and before I get into that, did you know the A-1 Skyraider's nickname was actually nicknamed the Spad, named after the French World War I fighter, the Spad-13. And it was actually nicknamed the Flying Dump Truck, which I kind of I kind of find it very funny, but yeah. Alrighty, so this is about a guy. His name was Bernard Fisher. So this was on March 10th, 1966, when there were him and the four other Skyraiders were on a mission to go to but they ended up going to the Ashao Valley, which was actually near Laos. So they found out that unfortunately it was taken over already by the Viet Cong's hands. So they, even though they went for strafing runs, trying to strafe the airstrip, which was not really successful because the Viet Cong already had it. They unfortunately a flash erupted, and he found out that it was his wingman named Major Dafford Myers. His Skyraider was actually hit by anti-aircraft fire, and it was engulfed in flames. And unfortunately, he made a crash landing, and he survived it. So Bernard Fisher had radioed the base, to request for immediate rescue. But unfortunately he found out that it was going to be 20 minutes. So when he was going to be 20 minutes, him and the other him and the other Skyraider were able to keep doing it and stay around the airbase for a few minutes. But unfortunately, he had to request another update to see what was going on with the rescue team, and he found out he doesn't know, and it was going to probably be another 20 minutes, and he was mad. So he found out his mind was racing in desperation. So he found out he had to go down into the crippled runway that was only 2,500 feet. That was way too short. But at that time, he realized that the Skyraider needed like 3,000 feet to go taking off. But he did the most daring thing. So he was able to land his Skyraider into the crippled short airfield. Then he picked up Dafford Myers and put him next to him inside the cockpit, and they, for somehow, some way, got into the air and took off safely into the air. And him and them and the other Skyraider successfully making it back to base. And for that incredible bravery that day, he was awarded the Medal of Honor for that heroic action on that day. And that was the most amazing thing I have ever heard from a Skyraider pilot. Like, that's awesome. And his Skyraider is actually on display at the Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, which I hope to see it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for the channel, and stay tuned for more for the last one of the Wednesday.